With the series reaching a boiling point and here and sorcerers being more fleshed out than ever before, it would be blasphemy for me to not do another chapter review of the top new gen at the time. So, stay with me as I break down the latest developments within the JJK series, and remember to like and subscribe so you can show your support. This chapter starts off with a bunch of randoms talking about how absurd it is to be praying to Sukuna for a plentiful harvest. This further supports the idea that has already been hinted at within this series earlier on, that Sukuna is a divine being compared to humans. We see them pleading to not pray to Sukuna as he sliced many of the elite subjugation units of the Fujiwara clan. I like how they consistently name drop the Fujiwara not only as a figure that took in Yorozu after her defeat of the 5 Void Generals, but also as a polarizing figure towards people like Ura, who makes her visibly angry and scared whenever they mention her name. This implies that they reroute their beliefs in not just how good of a sorcerer you are, but how ruthless you are, seeing as they take in Yorozu after being stated to be one of the most brutal people at the time. So, with all of this out of the way, this is also just a nice callback to statements made about how Heian-era sorcerers are one of the most ruthless, and with Yorozu and Sukuna around at the time, then I don't really blame them for thinking so. They reference Yorozu as someone who is as barbaric as Sukuna, and I find this hard to believe, but seeing as Yorozu is someone who stands around naked most of the time, then I don't blame them for thinking so, though I am not complaining. We then cut back to Yorozu's servant begging her to put on some clothes and warning her that she will be disciplined, and again I don't see the issue with Yorozu's lack of attire, but that may just be me. We see later on that Yorozu encounters Sukuna, and after going on a search for Karuku Doma, she finally comes face to face with the King of Curses. Sukuna is looking absolutely massive, his leg alone is almost the size of Uraume. And we see he's sitting there looking absolutely menacing. Half of his face resembles a curse and the other resembles a human. This also helps indicate that Sukuna is someone who's transcended the duality of humans and curses and has broken free from such terms. Though I'll be covering more on that in my new video I'm going to make about how strong and Sukuna's character. Yorozu runs up to Sukuna and gives him a hug, something he doesn't visibly react to. However, Uraume freezes her arm and causes Yorozu to retreat. This main focal point of this scene is that Sukuna is able to cut her without need of her hand signs or movement at all. Add that on to the fact that Yorozu doesn't notice she's been cut until she collapses, just makes 20 finger Sukuna look even more like a monster. Yorozu then pops out the perfect sphere, which is described as an object with infinite amounts of pressure on its surface and makes it impossible to grasp. She chucks it at Sukuna, and before he can react, Yorozu is then able to open her domain, and if she hadn't waited for Sukuna to respond, she had a high likelihood of taking him out right there. Yorozu then states that if she activated her technique, Sukuna would vanish, which implies some form of existence erasure or very high AP. However, we don't know the context because of what happens next. Sukuna then summons Mahoraga, who looks even bigger than usual, and you should be stronger too, seeing as Sukuna is the one who's using the technique, of course. Mahoraga then easily shatters the true sphere, and even though it should be untouchable, Mahoraga is easily able to adapt. Sukuna then mocks her by calling her a one-trick pony and says she would either fall back on a liquid metal or insect armor, which she had already adapted to. The fact that Mahoraga is easily able to one-shot Yorozu, someone who is capable of putting hands on Sukuna himself, is absolutely crazy, and the fact that Sukuna can now adapt to techniques which makes him even crazier than before by using the wheel on his head. I hope we get to see where they'll take this new ability, and I'm praying that they don't forget it when he next gets into a fight. And this type of thing is making me feel even less and less like hopeful that Gojo is going to come back, because I really want to see Sukuna go on a rampage and fight Maki for a second time. But if you like this type of videos, please remember to like and subscribe, and have a nice day, guys.